2 Megapops is an achievement in Balloons Tower Defense 6 where one tower in the entirety of the CHIMPS game needs to get 2 million or more pops. And today we're going to be doing this with the Plasma Accelerator, which means we're going to need to be doing a lot of micro and constantly playing on the slowest speed possible so that we can maximize our power in this case. So we're going to be starting this, and we're going to be starting this with an engineer and a dart monkey so that we hopefully will be able to get through this without tearing our own hairs off. Also, we're doing this on Lotus Island for a change, because this platform up here is going to be key for our successes. Round out, we're going to deploy ourselves a submarine down here. Two purposes. Number one, early lead pots, and number two, decamifying balloons. But then again, that's not really necessary since we're going middle path, cross path for our Plasma Accelerator by default, which is obviously the better choice rather than the bottom path. What's unique about Lotus Island is that if we want to, we can click on one of these flower buds and it stuns nearby balloons. So we could potentially use those in order to help us out, or even potentially save a run of sorts. So if we feel like that at any given point in time, like let's say on round 15 with all the pink balloons, we can essentially pop one of these and it will be able to stun pink balloons right then and there, which is lovely. Early game and late game are going to be the most difficult parts of this. Mid game is going to be easier, but I'm not going to say that the Plasma Accelerator is the most difficult 2MP to achieve. You just need to play it slow and be able to be patient so that we're able to get through the run itself. And we will soon have enough money in order to put the Dartling Gunner onto the field. Let's do it. There and there, and yeah, let's just pop one of those. Hopefully we'll get enough stun time there so that we won't have any leaks of any sort, and not the vegetable kind of a leak. Looking a little bit hectic here, but nothing too unmanageable at the moment. We do need to sacrifice some pops early on in the game though, because at the moment our Dartling Gunner is not what we call a vengeful true sun god here. We do need support for this thing in order for us to get through this stage of the game. And I do want faster barrel spin, but honestly I think we need to get ourselves some lead popping potential ready for round 28. I know we're not entirely there yet. We don't even need the submersible support in this case, because we do have middle cross path here, which is good. Yeah, so we are facing a few struggles here. Can we snipe them? Okay, we can snipe them just about. Put it on this platform so that we can attack any part of the track. We won't be blocked by these plants on Lotus Island itself. Ah, regrow balloons. My absolute favorite kind of balloons to ever encounter. You can sense the sarcasm oozing out of me, because they certainly are not. I hate them. They make certain runs impossible because of their sporadic behavior of multiplying and regrowing back to their parent form. No thank you. I would rather have a nicer day than dealing with all those children of the parent balloons. Just because of the sheer amount of pierce required here, we're going to put ourselves sharpening stone here so that we can hit a few more balloons. But it's still not looking good. I think it is like only +1 or +2 pierce. Sharpening stone provides very most. So it is an add-on, but it's like putting a cherry on top of a cake sort of add-on. Not really a big amount, but that's what Geraldo is. He provides lots of little small things in order for us to get through the day, but enough so that all of the benefits can stack up. So yeah, we are definitely playing the patient game here, because this is no scenario where we want to try and rush this. We have to take our time, otherwise we will be here forever. So it's either go the slow route or go the no route. And the no route means no success. Faster barrel spin will ensure that we can throw our darts out faster from our minigun Laser shock is here. We're going to go for laser cannon as soon as possible because that provides an ample amount more firepower. And we really need all the firepower that we can get. But the only drawback about going to laser cannons is that we cannot hit purples with our Dartling Gunner anymore. And that is where an MIB is going to come in later on. Round 36, a huge slog of around so many pink balloons. Not too concerned about the regrow camo greens. It's more or less these pinks that I hate the most out of this round. Clumped up pink balloons are a recipe for disaster if you're not careful. They will just waltz right through your defenses. And yeah, I forgot about these regrow camo greens. I should really submerge you. That's why I brought you. And I completely forgot about that. Hopefully by the time this runs out, we'll be able to afford laser cannon. Laser cannon is here. Lovely, lovely. We can do much more firepower now. Although if you don't know this, energy is the worst type of projectile in the entire game. Worse than sharp. Energy cannot hit neither leads or purples. Sharp cannot hit neither frozen nor leads. But there are so few scenarios where you're going to encounter frozen balloons. Lead balloons obviously are a very common type of countermeasure when it comes to potential runs. And purples as well, they are also quite a common type of balloon to encounter. Not as common as leads, I would say, but purples are definitely the biggest threat when it comes to like energy-based towers and stuff like that, and fire as well. Purples are a big threat to a lot of different kind of attacks on this game. Also plasma as well. Round 40, but plasma is better than energy because at least plasma can hit lead balloons. Whereas the horrible energy type like the laser cannon cannot do jack against leads. Speaking of plasma, we're going to go towards Plasma Accelerator next. We have enough firepower here in order to actually stave off the rest of this. Let's put you back on submerged now, and hopefully we'll not need you for the rest of this game. I'm going to ignore those two balloons up there because honestly, the backbone, or sorry, just the back of our defenses will hopefully be able to take care of those. And actually it did, which is lovely. So it's 11k, oh, nearly 12k for Plasma Accelerator. That's a bit of a tall order, but absolutely necessary. I mean, it's in the title of the video, Plasma Accelerator. It wouldn't be the case if, well, we just stuck with laser cannons, even though there are multiple records of 2 MP laser cannons, which I am not looking forward to trying doing even one of those 19. Thank you very much. Oh, Christ. I should have put the other thing on there now. Oh, for goodness sakes. Honestly, we should just keep this over here. Let's just target these pinks back here and then just let the purples go towards the back end, hopefully. For a little bit of time, I honestly think turning auto start off is going to be the best thing for us in order for ourselves to micro and have the best chances to do this, because this is a very micro-intensive tower, and without the proper means in order to do all of this, we're not going to go very far in this endeavor here. Let's just put this here. Oh my god. Oh no, it's not being able to pop all of these purple balloons. You are so bloody annoying. People, obviously you just need to get better at the game. You know what these things do, but you just need to be better. Why use Dorado? He's just such a go-to hero in order to go through this scenario. Use another hero. Be more skillful at the game. Noob at the game detected. Oh, he's using double cash in boss scenarios. He's obviously such a noob. Look, I play the game how I want to, so if you've got a nasty comment to write about me when it comes to this kind of stuff, just because I don't always succeed like you do, obviously, then keep that snarky, stupid comment to yourself. I'm looking at the 0.01% of you, by the way. Sorry about that negative episode, but some people on the internet just exist to be miserable for both themselves and others. If they can't find any joy in their life, then they try and bring other people's lives down with them, because that is the only purpose that they have when they wake up in the morning, to be bloody miserable. We now have the monies to purchase an MIB. Now we don't have to worry about purple balloons anymore with our Plasma the Plasma Accelerator, get my wordings correct there, and hopefully we'll be able to move on with our lives, knowing that we will succeed in this. There's no if or could, it's just a matter of when. I really disliked the stigma on the internet that content creators are not allowed to have an opinion, because if you have an opinion, that means you're choosing a side. And if you choose a side, that means you are in full disagreement with whatever another person says that doesn't share your opinion 100% of the time and of the context that goes on with that opinion in and of itself. You can agree to disagree, you can still thrive and be able to get along with that person knowing that you don't agree and see eye to eye to absolutely everything, because that is what makes each and every single one of us different. And freedom of speech in certain circumstances, I'm not talking about anything in particular, freedom of speech has its own consequences in and of itself, depending on the gravity of the situation which you are trying to pull with your freedom of speech. In some cases, freedom of speech is just an instantaneous go-to countermeasure in order to say, hey, this is not me who is putting the strings here. I am just a messenger, but as the messenger, I am entitled to freedom of speech regardless of the severity of what it is that I am saying. And what I'm saying, with my God knows how many millions of followers, is that this should be like this. The whole world is lying to me, and therefore I should set things right. Even if I know I'm wrong, I am not going to say to the world that I am wrong, because I am just that stubborn and arrogant to know if I am wrong or right. I just know that I am right regardless of what 99.9999% of the rest of humanity says, because I am that stubborn. Says probably only one or two people within a community of sorts. If you ever have a huge following and freedom of speech is your go-to defensive mechanism, then what you're doing essentially is you're not having any kind of how do you call it? Any kind of gravity behind your own words, where you are actually knowing what it is that you're saying. You're not regretful or feeling that there might be people out there that, regardless of how warped your opinion might be, just follow you regardless of how warped your perspective is. Like, some people follow you so religiously that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you are always going to be right, because that is how their mindset works. And that's a really unhealthy mindset to have. Meanwhile, we have an overclock up and running. The only drawback to an overclock with Plasma Accelerator is you have to take your cursor off the target if you're targeting manually. And that could be the difference between, let's say, a DDT being able to sneak out of the map and you being able to succeed in this. So I think from now, the mid game here is going to be a little bit easier to handle with in comparison to previous rounds. Let's say without an overclock, without an MIB, without jungle drums and all that jazz. But it's just being able to apply the overclock is just going to be the only really annoying bit, because we have to take our head of the plasma away from the balloons in order to apply it. Like, we could, like, just say have a spot which we really like and just hold it there, but then the balloons that I might want to pop at that, or will need to pop at that stage, may be elsewhere. So we have to really think about where we're going to leave our cursor here. So we'll lock it down there, then let's say put it here. I think probably the best thing to do when it comes to Plasma Accelerator is have it highlighted, and then when you want to apply the overclock, then you hit tab and then go to activating your overclock ability on the Plasma Accelerator. Our first glue we're putting down is going to be the 024 glue gunner, relentless glue, and that will be able to store the Moa class balloons for just a little bit, make sure that they slow down. We have it over here so that it can target Moabs down here, even though it can't physically reach down there. When the hitbox is big enough on a blimp, this will be able to target down there anyway. So That is a very good thing. I should always play with Plasma Accelerator on slow. There are some parts of this map where, mainly the bottom part of the map, where it does run in a straight line. So therefore, we can engage the head down south and have part of the plasma still north of the head itself. There's no such thing as an all pops challenge on a tower in which you cannot place down on round 6. So if you ever think that you can get an all pops with the Ray of Doom, for example, then you are lying to yourself, because you cannot place down a Dartling Gunner on round 6 in Chimps without modifying the starting price. Let's try and time this well. Stun those there and deal with these, and then deal with the rest of them from there. I know that could have gone better, but that is one way to really maximally utilize these flowers on the field, by having it so that you have as many balloons as possible clumped up in a single area. Blue strike when the huge mass of ceramics comes out means we do more damage to the ceramics by 2, I believe it is. But that 2 is every little helps when you have a tower that fires super fast, but each of those, like, each kind of strand of plasma is quite weak. It's mainly down to the sheer number of them that is fired that makes it so powerful. So when you have a lot of debuffs, it really increases the potential of that particular tower when you can fire out many more of them. Not as useful on a tower like Pat, where each of his slaps are very powerful anyway. Set +2 is not as huge as, let's say, going from 1 pop to 3 pops, or from 2 pops to 4 pops. The percentage increase is higher when the amount of DPS that you have anyways is lower per shot. So on something like, I don't know, let's say the tack zone, actually, Blue Storm is incredibly helpful, because while it fires a huge amount of attacks, each of those attacks only does 1 damage or 2 damage. I'm not too sure. I don't look into the coding of the game, and I don't sit there all day working out the ins and outs of every single tower and their damage output, how many times they fire a second and all that jazz. It's like when someone walks up to you saying, "What's your average heartbeat?" I don't know. All I know is that I'm talking to you right now, so therefore I have some kind of pulse. I didn't mean to pop that, by the way. Blue Storm is here. Next up is going to be Absolute Zero, I believe. Absolute Zero Ice Tower, which is going to really help us out when it comes to these blimps. Because Snowstorm can slow down regular balloons. It can only slow down Moabs very temporarily, but that's while they're frozen. But when the frozen status ends, when we go back to normal speed. And when we go back to normal speed, that is not good. Because normal speed isn't good. We want them all slowed down and all that jazz. Speaking of slowing down, we do need to invest into some ninjas soon, so that we will be able to slow down their movement speed by half. Is it half? I believe the balloon sabos half the speed. I don't know. All I know is it does slow them down by a substantial amount. Like, just to the casual player, going over statistics and all that kind of jazz is just boring. If you just say something like it decreases their movement speed substantially, then people have kind of like a gauge as to like what that amount means when it comes to the word that you apply after the effect. If it's slightly, then it's not that appetizing. If it's by like 25%, we know 25% is a quarter, but what does that mean when it comes to the feel of the game? We have our Snowstorm in place, so if we feel these balloons are going to go too far on the track, then we can always use it. Or if we feel like we do need a little bit more time, then we can use it. The only drawback is that when paired with Blue Storm, each ability we use is going to do that much more damage. So we've got to don't just spam it willy-nilly. Normally only does 1 damage, but if we activate it, it does 6 damage, because normally it only does 1, plus the 2 with Blue Storm, and that equals 3 per target, in this case 6 because there was 2 ZOMGs on the field here. 4 ZOMGs, and down they go. We don't even have the the engineer monkey and their traps out with the skin that allows them to become vampires. Even though the description of that cosmetic says that they can throw garlics, I've never seen a single garlic thrown by the engineer monkeys when going down bottom path, so maybe it's just me not looking out that much. We got ourselves absolute 0 chances of losing. Now that we have absolute 0 chances of losing, we can now slow down these ZOMGs, and you almost always want to go top path as its cross path because of the permafrost effect, permanently slowing down balloons, including when it uses its ability and not just its default attack. We'll also always pair it with a primary mentoring when you can, so that you can get its ability back more quickly, and be able to get its tier 1s for 3 as well. 3, sorry, not 3. 3 for the price of 2.9 or something along those lines. Isn't this fun, doing this micromanaging stuff? It's the only way to succeed though. If you want to do a Plasma Accelerator 2 Megapops, prioritize the amount of time that you can have with this so that it doesn't reach the very end of the track. Our first set of DDTs are on their way here. Are they going to be a threat to us? We shall find out. And oh, I didn't mean to fast forward there. Fast forwarding this week. You manage a micro, and they are very good, but we definitely need those balloon sabos as soon as possible. We cannot just solely rely on absolute 0 to slow them down. You need a hybrid of everything, from glues to ice to ninjas, in order to give you the maximum amount of time for support to slow them down, make them more susceptible to damage and all that jazz. We have our first balloon sabo brought, which means we can now start slowing down the balloons in a third way. Not just with glues or absolute 0 ice, but with the global question mark ability to permanently slow them down, which is absolutely gorgeous. We just need a few more of these ninjas so that we will be able to fully slow them down every single way of the game. We need 4 of them in total in order to have a 100% uptime. We don't need any more overclock since the Plasma Accelerator is a tier 4 tower. And life is well on the Lotus Island hood. Oh gosh, Gluestorm is not active. The smallest gap where Gluestorm is not active and Overclock is not active, and they make it very far along the track. Thanks to the combination of our Relentless Glue and Absolute 0, those ZMGs are not going very far anytime soon. But we are still fighting these fortified Moabs here, and the fortified balloons are honestly the more dangerous ones to combat. So let's just use that for the time being there. It will take a while for that flower to fully bud back, but we are still doing very well. I know this is slow, and I do apologize for the longer video than usual, even though I typically do long videos because I prefer to have a marathon and not a TikTok style video that some people love to binge watch on the internet. If you think my Plasma Accelerator Micro is absolute dog water, then keep your comment to yourself. If you think my Plasma Accelerator Micro can use some improvements, then I'll be more than happy to hear you out and have you lecture me on the ways of how to properly micro the Plasma Accelerator. Or if you think that my Plasma Accelerator Micro is okay, then that's okay as well. Thank you very much. I prefer a mixed bag feedback rather than just one side or the other side. One side being your perfection and there's nothing else you can do to improve yourself, or the other end of the scale, which is like telling someone to KYS, which is horrible. Like, both ends are negative in their own ways, because it feels like I can't improve because you're not giving me any feedback as to how I can improve, regardless of which end of the scale it is. I prefer the positive end, obviously. And our flowers growing back as well, but can I improve as a player with the correct kind of feedback? And yep, I activated Balloon Sabo. Yeah, it doesn't do anything against these because these were just pops from their parents. I hate Balloon Sabo. I wish it was actually a global thing and not just a temporary thing. Nearing the end of round 94, we only have one of these ZMGs left to pop, and we have this round in the bag. Now, from testing this, I find that round 95 is the most difficult, and I couldn't possibly do it if we didn't put Geraldus's creepy idols down in order to store the balloons in place. So I'm going to put one of them there, one of them over here. I'm going to put a invisibility potion on Geraldo himself so that it increases the range of our creepy idols here. And I'm going to put down a third Sabo. I should have really placed them in the range of our commerce over here so that we have a little bit less money used up in these scenarios. But what can you do aside get a, well, not a lot really, but it's annoying whenever you see it. Nasty comments. Don't use any of your abilities just yet. Let's just pop these leads and purples. Otherwise, all they're going to do is just take up our peers, take up our time if they are continuously able to exist. So it's better if you just allow yourself to pop them and not having to worry about the, oh no, our overclockers. Oh my god, this is bad actually. We really need to micro this a bit better here. My god, DDTs are so incredibly annoying, but I'm glad we have absolute zero here. Otherwise, our chances here will be much slimmer when it comes to success and all that jazz. And I'm having a much better time because I reversed the placements of my Sabos and absolute zero in comparison to when I did a test game where I put the Sabos down first and then absolute zero later on. It's like, up against these DDTs, the Sabos are not as good as, let's say, the absolute zero ice tower. Keep on doing that. It's going to be a little bit more, it's going to take much more time for round 98 just to be certain because of the sheer amount of RBE that round. And RBE, if you ever hear it, stands for red balloon equivalent. How many red balloons can you squeeze into, let's say, this fortified Moab over here? And actually, you know what? The creepy idols are doing a fantastic job blowing back these balloons. And in some ways, it serves as a means of, if they continuously get chucked back, I can allow my abilities to regenerate, which is very good. We now have 4 balloon Sabos on the field, which means hopefully we can always have this greenish blue smoke out at any given point in time from a ninja. Balloon Sabos are one of the most useful support towers in a 2 Megapop scenario. If you can reduce the movement speed of the balloons, then you are doing yourself massive favors by giving yourself more time to pop the balloons themselves. Oh, these lotus flowers have exactly the same problem as the balloon Sabos. If you manage to pop the parent down to the smaller one, it then reenacts their movement rather than keeps them stalled for however long that they should be stalled for. Encroaching onto round 97. What shall we do? Yeah, we just pop it. We'll just pop it and just worry about overclocking the next round. So with Geraldo, let's see, level 19. Let's just put that on there so that we can initially do more damage against the fortified DDTs. Not too sure what else really we can put on. I don't want to put pickles on it. Like, that's only going to favor us on round 97 and 90. Well, actually, aside round 100. Using absolute zero is also a good time to use overclock if you need to put it back on the Plasma Accelerator, because you're not really losing out on their movement speed because they are going at an almost zero pace when it comes to their movement speed, especially when there's ZOMGs here. Lovely. Our first one is popped. How wonderful. Let's put the pollen down there. And okay, maybe the fact that the bigger the blimp is, the less time that the lotus flowers store them. So I don't play this map too much, so that could be the case. I can't remember the last time we had a boss balloon on this map. It might have been Balloonarius, if I remember correctly, or even like Vortex. Vortex is my least favorite boss. I find it to be the most difficult boss out of all the bosses. Like, every boss is difficult in their own ways, but it's how Vortex is difficult which I dislike the most. I hate that it stuns your towers, including paragons. Like, the only thing it doesn't stun are your powers. So let's say your tech bots, your banana farmers. Like, they don't stun those, but they stun God itself, which is very weird. God of all balloons can be stunned by one fast boy. We're not going to use Absolute Zero just yet. We want to wait until all of the blimps are on the track for round 98 before we use Absolute Zero. Obviously with Gluestorm and Balloon Sabber, yes, do use them. But wait on your Absolute Zeros until the very moment you know that all of the blimps are on the track, so that you can fully utilize its usage. Oh my goodness. Oh, I used my abilities too early there. I should have just used it because of its quick recharge time, to be honest. That's what I should have done, just used it when the ZMGs will fully spawn out, so they're even further back along the track than they are now. I was trying to be resourceful, but this is one of those scenarios where you just have to be a bit braver than what you'd like. I don't like the fact that these ZMGs are very far along the track. I think I've made several errors microing this round because they are too far along the track. I think I should have used Absolute Zero when all of them were out, like I said earlier on in the round. Ah! My god, Geraldo's getting too many pops. Okay, this time around I feel like I'm going much better. The ZMGs are further back than they normally were. Oh my goodness sakes, these ceramics! But one moment Gluestorm is not up and active, it has to do that. Every single time it's when a Balloon Sabber is not active or the Gluestorm has just expired. They have to beeline it for the exit. That's so annoying. That's almost all of the fortified balloons completely crushed. Now it's these ZMGs. Let's use the Absolute Zero now that they're all down to BFBs. Look at the amount of pops being stolen over here. That's so bad. Oh, okay, that's only 10,000. Oh no. Stop stealing all the pops. I know I placed you back here to stop them, but you are literally chewing up all of the pops. I hate micromanaging in this game. It is my least favorite factor of Balloons Tower Defense 6 is micromanaging. I know it's other people's favorite aspect. For me personally, I hate it. That's why I don't do towers like this very often, because they're just such insanity removing kind of prospects. And we're just going to leave that particular balloon back there so that we can get our abilities back. So yeah, I know this has been quite a negative video in some ways, and I do apologize for that factor, but some people are honestly only waking up nowadays just to be a toxic waste for life. And it's so annoying having to always constantly see comments by people who just comment just to be nasty rather than just provide anything of any kind of context or any kind of clarity or anything that resembles a normal conversation. Because truth be told, those sort of people would never act like that in the public. They only act like that on the internet because they feel they're tough. We got a Spike Factory ready for round 100. I realized I made a mistake of putting it near the MIB. I should have just placed it in this one so we get a discount and it doesn't pop leads. That's okay, I think. Geraldo, how many pops have you stolen? Oh, 16,000. For goodness sake, that's so many pops stolen, Geraldo. Why are you such an annoyance? I have to look at all of these and see how many pops we've taken away, because I feel like I'm not going to be able to do this actually. Oh no, our engineer's got 5,000. Geraldo's, oh my god, that's like 23,000. No, we can't do it. We can't physically do this. There's too many pops stolen. Oh, for goodness sakes. No, that's too many pops stolen. I had a better time testing this out yesterday. And for goodness sakes, when I came to record this, now I cannot do it because of some unluck reason. Oh my god, I just managed to do it. Oh my goodness sakes, I did not want to do that again. For goodness sakes, if I did not have this, I would not have done it again. I would be like, I attempted it and this is the best I could have done. I had like 15,000 more pops yesterday when I tested this out. But for some odd reason, just changing strategy slightly to use the absolute zero first rather than balloon sabo really costed me in the long run. I would need to slow them down a bit more permanently using the balloon sabos rather than using absolute zero, because that gave me more pops for other towers. This was one of the few scenarios where I really didn't enjoy it as much as other scenarios, where I can't just put towers down and then rely on their power. This, you have to rely on their power, but that power comes from all of this kind of movement over here and all that jazz. Who the hell is going to say that this kind of thing, following balloons constantly, is a fun prospect? I, for one, don't think so, unless you love torturing yourself. So, folks, that is 2 Megapops with a Plasma Accelerator. I know I said the wrong word there, but I don't care at this point. Thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know what I could have done to improve my strategy there in the future if I ever come back to the prospect of a stupid top tier Dartling Gunner, because that is the least favourable path I feel out of all of them. Like, the bottom path I think is just the most accessible one because it's good against both like big chunks of balloons and Moabs, whereas the middle path is only good against Moabs, but the top path is very stupidly micro intensive. So yeah, that is the experience of Plasma Accelerator. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did with other scenarios. I feel like I would have done better if I selected an easier map, but I wanted to venture out from the usual suspects of resort logs, cubism, and sometimes Candy Falls as well. But Candy Falls just hasn't appeared too often on this channel. Let me know what you thought of the video, and please be sure to give a like, comment, and subscribe if you've not done so already. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care of yourselves, everybody. This was torturous.